from wherever you are. Today, we will be joined with Rose and Samuel Kanja. Rose will be our moderator for today, and Samuel Kanja is our speaker. Today, we'll be discussing the mental concept of a man. And firstly, I'd like to introduce Kajiado We Want CBO, who we are, and what we do. Basically, the Kajiado We Want is a community-based organization that was registered last year, September 2022. And we have 8 areas of focus that we champion within Kajiado County. And some of the 8 parameters, or rather the 8 areas of interest that we have, are infrastructure, roads and street lighting, water and sanitation, environment, waste management, security and community policing, advocacy for the vulnerable groups, that is children, women, youth, persons with disabilities, and the elderly. We also champion for health and wellness, education and literacy, and finally, trade and job creation. This is the 8 areas that we try to lobby and try to champion for social development and social community development and community welfare within Kajiado County. And we try to intend to achieve the 8 areas through creating awareness, public participation, and also partnerships with non-governmental organization, the county government, and other government agencies. So having said that, I'd like to give Rose, our moderator, the floor so that she can also bring today's topic onto the table. Karibu sana, Rose.
Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm delighted, I'm privileged, I'm honored to be here today. The Kajiado We Want. My name is Rose Kerubo Mariba. Rose is a resident of Kajiado, specifically Kitengela, in Kitengela ward. So without much ado, Rose is also a transformational leader. I am a leader generally. So today our topic for the day is navigating the mental concept of a man. You know, men are the heads of the family. We are the neck. The women, children. So if the head is not stable, remember that all things will not really work well. So today we are privileged to have Mr. Samuel Kanja. Samuel Kanja is the founder of Ultimate Excellence Consulting Enterprise, offering training, counseling, life coaching, mentoring, and also individual training, corporate training, and also in the NGO world. So today he is here to give us a talk on how the men can uh, navigating the mental concept of a man. Samuel holds a master's degree in entrepreneurship and innovations management, a Bachelor of Science in Statistics, a CPA-K graduate, and also he has a diploma in counseling psychology. So we are talking, or we are engaging a holistic person. When you go to the sides of mathematics is there, you come to the side of humanity is also there. You come to the side of social entrepreneurship is also there. So I welcome Samuel to give us a talk, and after he has done his presentation, we'll have 1 or 2 questions that we'll engage so that we open our minds. We also navigate through the challenges of life. Karibu sana Samuel.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Samuel Kanja, and I think I've been extensively introduced, so I will not embark on that again. And I'm glad to be in this conversation because I'm a man. And I think when we were coming up with that particular topic, it was not very easy to come up with the wording, but finally we agreed that we navigate the mental concept of a man. And the word navigation there is actually very intentional and deliberate because mental health is personal. So as we can only create awareness, there's not much we can do beyond creating awareness. Because mental health, like any other form of health, is purely personal. Meaning this conversation, we are trying to go through the mind of a man. And even if we say men are the same, you have heard that statement here and there, wanaume wote ni sawa, that is not the truth. Yes, as an umbrella, all the men are the same. But when it comes to the individual men, every man is unique, every man is different. And before we go to the conversation about a man or a woman, about them, the way they deal with mental health, it would be kind enough to deal with exactly what is this mental health that we have been talking about, which people keep talking about. And many people out there, even who are not counselors, even those who have not gone to school, they talk about mental health as if it is something far-fetched. It's something you cannot understand. It's something you need to go to school for you to have a clear understanding. But maybe we need to demystify mental health. The same way physical health is demystified. Where when I say I'm sick, someone will comfortably ask me, what is ailing you? Then I can say I've been having some stomachache, I've been having some headache, I've been having some, problem with this and that. It is very specific. And anyone can understand that. A mother, a street mother, my mother in the village, a woman in town, educated or not educated, they can understand physical health. When I tell someone that I'm not spiritually upright, it means that my spiritual connections are not healthy, and it is easily understood. But two areas where we struggle to understand clearly is what we call emotional and mental health, where we know mental health is the basis of emotional health. Because mental means the thoughts. It comes from our mind. And each person has a monopoly over their mind. That's why we talk about mental health being personal. And each person has also the monopoly over their emotions. That's why our thoughts and our feelings are considered part of the 5 freedoms of a human being. They are called freedoms because you cannot do that for the other person. You cannot feel for the other person. We use the word empathy in counseling. Empathy doesn't mean feeling for the other person. It means feeling with that particular person, meaning you are not the one who is feeling the pain. When we talk about emotional, it is the feelings. Mental, it is the mind. You cannot think for the other person. So these are two concepts which are directly linked with each other. And when we talk about mental health, where does it originate? It originates from our thoughts. Surprisingly, our thoughts can either be negative or positive. It's very hard to have neutral thoughts. Even that neutral thought is somehow biased on either positive or negative. So if we divide our thoughts into two, positive thoughts and negative thoughts, if you go to the side of the positive thoughts, it doesn't mean your life does not have problems. It doesn't mean your life does not have challenges. But the way as a person you deal with your challenges, the way you handle your problems, the way you create solutions to whatever you may be going through is different from what another person who is negative deals with it. For example, when you are a positive thinker, you may lose family members to death. You may lose your job. You may lose a relationship. You may lose even a business or even a partner, or you can lose anything in life. You can even get sick. But the way you look at it, that's what makes all the difference. On the other side, allow me to say this, if you have a positive mindset, if you are a positive thinker, and genuinely and authentically a positive thinker, you are not doing it for people to see or people to feel, trust you me, you and the depression, you'll never meet. You'll be going through two paths. You'll be using two parallel paths, but you'll never meet. So when I talk about positive thinking, it's not the superficial one. I mean, there is harmony. You know, there is unity between your thoughts, your feelings, your actions in terms of positivity. But when you come to this other side, and you are a negative thinker, when you are a negative thinker, when those negative thoughts mature, they become anxiety. Anxiety in Kiswahili is like kuhangaika. You know, you become this person who is here and there. Your mind is not settled. And that is not stress. That is anxiety. You are anxious. Being anxious means what? There are thoughts that you cannot balance. You know, you cannot finally get into a decision because of the anxiety. And then you become indecisive. You become fearful. That's why fear is associated with anxiety. And anxiety, mostly there is some blood movement. There is no clarity in your thoughts. There is a mist, there is a fog in your thoughts. That is anxiety. But when something is clear, for example, when you do an exam and you don't know how the results will come out, that is anxiety. But now when anxiety becomes ripe, we get into what we call stress. And this stress is divided into various levels. We will have another topic for stress, so I'll just mention them. There's what we call the mild stress, there's what we call the moderate stress, there's what we call excessive stress, and there's what we call severe stress. And then the four of them can also be grouped in another category, what we call the acute stress or the chronic stress. Acute is that sharp stress occurring for a very short moment, but very painful. Chronic stress, it is a spread stress for quite some time, even years, months, and it is stress that is complex. It results from many things happening. Then after that, in case we don't deal with this stress and it ripens, then that's how we get to minor depression. If you don't seek any help, if you don't get assisted, then we get into minor depression, which if it's not treated or taken care of, we go to major depression. And when you go to major depression, now the counselor may not be very much helpful. The psychologist, you may have to see a psychiatrist, you may have to see clinical psychologist, you may have to seek even medical help, and you get the antidepressant and all that. So that is the chain of mental health. So mental health is about positive and negative thoughts in a layman's language. When they ripen, they become all those other things. Now, why are we navigating the mental health of a man? Does it mean the way men deal with stress or anxiety or even depression is different from the way women deal with it? And the answer is a big yes. Very, very different. I was following a conversation we had in the same platform on narcissistic disorder. You realize that most of the people who are in that disorder are actually men. The same way when you look at the four temperaments, the cholerics, most of them are men. And that's why a lady who is a choleric or a lady who is narcissistic, in most cases, they look to be on the extreme when they are among other people. But for a man who is a choleric or narcissistic, they are not very far from an average man. And if you look at the characteristics of a narcissist and a choleric, you realize that some of them can encourage mental health issues. Because, like for a choleric, this is a very straightforward person. This is a person who is obsessed with the goal. This is a person who knows exactly what they want. they are so much alert, they are not flexible, they are not patient, and you can imagine we are living in a world where without patience, many things can go wrong. If you go and study or you revise your notes on that narcissistic disorder, you realize that most of those qualities, they are not bad qualities. It's only that they are excessive. For example, one quality of a narcissist is they like attention. So much attention. They like to be the center of the universe. But the question is, who would not want to be the center of attraction? Who would not want to be the one people are, surrounding or coming for help? Anyone would want. But now for a narcissist, it is on the excessive side. So, when we are talking about a man, what is this man we are dealing with? We are not talking about a man of 1980s, 1990s, 2000. We are talking about a man of 2023. And how is this man different from my father rather, who was my age that time? I want to ask a few questions. If you look at the way you are brought up, is that father who brought you up the same father that your husband, or you as the father of your children, or you as a young man, is that the same man you are? Again, the answer is a big no. That man had a lot of authority, and this authority was not forced. This control was not forced. This control was not demanded. Even the way they used to be served food, even the way their seat used to be put aside, even the way that they were the only breadwinners, even the way they were the ones who were paying the school fees. Even your mother would tell you, ask your dad for that particular item. Even if your mother gave you, they would protect the dad. But what about this man who is living today? The old man in a family, maybe he was the most exposed, if not the most educated. But today, the conversation has changed. In some families, the man is not the most educated. The man is not the most exposed. The man is not the most empowered. So what then happens? This man loses two things at the same time: control and authority. And what they remain with is pseudo-authority and pseudo-control. And that's why you find in most families, many men are lacking assertiveness because the situation has changed. He is no longer the sole breadwinner. Sometimes they lose their jobs. In those old days, like now our grandfathers, even when they were not working, they used to be treated still as the breadwinners. Our grandmothers used to go to the farm to do all the work. You have had in some communities, a man would marry many women for labor purposes, to get many children so that they can offer labor. So this man is not doing so much. Even the grazing was not being done by the man. It was being done by the small boys, the sons. But this man still used to have a possession. And some of the men we are dealing with, as we talk about this concept, these are men who are brought up by such men. They were brought up in such environment, the way they are socialized. So this man of today is a totally different man. So what sets this man apart? Now, if this man does not have anything setting him apart, to gain genuine control, to gain respectable authority, then in the family setup, in the career setup, this man will easily lose it up. That is one area we need to know. Today's man is not the same man. Number two, in terms of the element of a man, who is a man and who is a woman? Mentally or psychologically, a man is more logical. A woman is more emotional. When you are emotional, you feel your feelings. You feel your thoughts. So you relate, you synchronize, you synthesize your thoughts. And so you can come up with the in-house conclusions about what you are thinking. But when you are logical, it's either you are analyzing, you are not synthesizing, you are not synchronizing, you are actually analyzing and critiquing your thoughts. And that one now makes a man and a woman deal with these issues of anxiety, negative thoughts, and distress in a different way. So, this man who is logical, in most cases, if that logic is not under some control of either good knowledge, and that's why when I talked about some forms of balance, before we forget, mental health does not stand on its own. We have 7 other areas where we need to be healthy. And mental health can be affected by us not being healthy. That's what we do in counseling or in life coaching, what we call the wheel of life. One of them, of course, is the moral health. You know, the other one is spiritual health we talked about. Today we are talking about mental health. We have emotional health. We have intellectual health. We have the vocational issues to do with careers and all that. We have the physical health, you know, we have the social health. All those, they relate to that particular one. And they are supposed to derive a complete person who can make progress in life. So this man we are talking about, when he is very logical, loses the bit of emotion, they may not connect the 8 aspects of a human being. And for that reason, they may be, you know, deflated on one aspect. Doing very well in the spiritual world, but doing very poorly on the vocational. Doing very well in the let us say the intellectual, a very knowledgeable man, but then doing very poorly in managing the emotions. Lack of emotional intelligence. That's why it is a topic which is rising at a very high rate. When you come to the side of the woman, a woman is emotional. And a woman is emotional. When you're emotional, you easily become rational. Because what is rational? To be rational, it is a balance, an equilibrium between logic and emotions. Where logic and emotions meet, that is the point of rationality. And rationality is not for any gender. But some gender rush faster to rationality than the other one. Because the logic person will spend more time analyzing. The emotional person will not spend as much time. What do I mean? A woman will be beaten today by the husband, domestic violence, or the woman will be sent away. Don't come here again. The following morning, this woman is already with another woman sharing this story and they are laughing about it. A man loses the wife who he loves so much. That man will take another 1 month before sharing with someone about that loss. That's what I mean when I talk about some gender have an advantage reaching the rationality. So what do I mean with all this? A man needs to smoothen the sharp edges of logic thinking. Because if we don't smoothen those sharp edges, we may never reach the equilibrium of rationality. The other thing we need also to think about a man, I'm trying to show the differences so that when we are talking about how to deal with it, the man knows the positioning. It is about the expectations of the society. Who does the society expect? A man should not cry. You know, a man, when they are beaten, even by the wife, and these things are happening, domestic violence against men, you know, it's happening. So this man, when they come out and they talk about it, they become the laughing stock. You know, let's not even go far. Today, if you meet 2 people who are naked, one is a man, the other one is a woman, who do you think many people will look at? You know, many people will look at the man, and many people will close their eyes when they are looking at the woman who is naked. Reason being what? The society has a belief system, you know, about how a man should be and how a woman should be. How sacred a man is and how sacred a woman is. So, if things go wrong even in a family, without knowing the truth from the 2 sides, mostly in those communities where issues are balanced, like now we can say in an urban setup, many people would first put the blame where? On the man. But in those societies where women maybe are taken maybe for granted, in quotes, you realize that it is the other way around. So we need to know the society expects something. It expects a man to provide at any time. It expects a man to do this and that. And that's why you hear these comments which sound like jokes. but sometimes we need to think about them more. My money is my money, our money is our money. Meaning what? Me as a woman, whatever I earn is mine. You as a man, whatever you earn, we need to spend together. It looks funny when you are joking about it, but in a real family setup, these issues are the ones that are affecting men. The other thing about societal expectation, especially with the young men, when a young man is 18 years and above and he starts misbehaving, you realize the society considers that man to be responsible, but the man is not responsible. So the man is left out there. And that's why most of the young men or boys who are 17, 18 or 19 and above, who are brought for counseling because of drug abuse or maybe misconduct or all that, they are brought by their mothers, even where those mothers are married. Reason being what? The society where the father belongs expects this man to man up. So around when a man is going through mental issues, we go around telling them, you need to man up, you need to shape up, you need to attend the men's conference, you need this and that. But we don't know these people are literally suffering from mental health issues. That's why you realize now, like suicide. Why is it that most women, they take quite some time to commit suicide? We'll come to that. But the key thing is this: most women have an attachment to something in their life. Either a woman is attached to their education, a woman is attached to their parents, a woman is attached to their children, a woman is attached to their church. There are so many women who would commit suicide, but because of their attachment to a place they go for worship, and it is serious attachment, even the pastor calls them, even they have a role in the praise and worship. There's a woman who would say, but if I commit suicide, who will be leading the praise and worship? But now you come to this other side. How many of us men, are deeply attached to many things which mean so much to us? That's another thing about societal expectations. And we can give many examples. When your car breaks down as a man along the highway, ama expressway, or even along whichever road, when police come, how do they treat you? And they are your fellow men. How do they treat you? Even the woman police, how does she treat you? Even the young men who come to help you to fix the car, how do they treat you? Same case happens to a woman. How is she treated? That's how much the society expects a man to be on his own. And there is no mercy for men. That's why even when we are starting, we were introduced to the Kajiado We Want CBO. And we are talking about advocacy towards what? We don't mention men anywhere. So actually today's conversation for me, it is kind of because of the mental health, but now we put the aspect of men. But we talked about the youth, the vulnerable, and then we talk about women, and then we talk about the different enabled. Now the question is, where do men who are suffering belong in that? Even when we had the post-election violence in 2008, we talked a lot about women, which is okay, and I have no problem with that. Of course, I don't want to conclude women are the weaker gender, because that's another conversation. But the society treats it exactly like that. But where are men who suffer because of the same things? Who looks at these men? The NGOs we are having, who looks at these men? Most of the NGOs are for boys. But when we are talking about the boy child, we forget the man who has already become 18 years. You see, who has already become 18 years. So where do these men who have not grown up, when they are 18 and above, where do they go? Because we are doing so much work on the boy child. But what happens to these other men? That's why we are having this conversation. So you can see the way you would be treated. You can see the way people would look at you. Today, go to an airport and you are a black woman. You go to airport and you are the only black man. Imagine you'll be treated differently. Very different. Today, assume you are marketing a service and you start calling people and explaining the service. You as a man, in most cases, you'll be treated as a con man. But for the lady, she will be decent. That is how serious the societal expectations mean. Then the other one is the attitude. What is the attitude of the man towards his problems? Sometimes what is affecting most men is the attitude of indifference, just being there, not being so much bothered. Even about the children, we are not so much bothered. That's why these days there's a new trend. Men are not sending away their wives. Men are walking away. They just walk away and they go. They start another life, either another family or whatever they start, because of that attitude of indifference. When I talk about indifference, I mean you are not bothered about the outcome. It is not even something maybe you have thought for so long. I do know from my counseling point of view, many men, maybe before they take such a decision, they have thought about it. But I'm trying to say, generally, some people would do that without any second thought. The other thing is about the value system. What is driving men and what is driving women? What do men want in life and what do women want in life? That also becomes another huge factor. Some women, for example, you'll see they are not so much bothered when their family is doing well. They are happily married, they have children, maybe they have built their own house or something like that. Go to the man's side. This man has almost everything you'd imagine he should be having at his age, for example. But this man is literally behaving like someone who has nothing. So men are always on the run, looking for more. And most of the men, they die. Most or some, or quite a good number, they die when they are still looking for more. Not even for themselves sometimes, for other people. You know, for other people. For their children, for their wives, maybe for their the ladies they have kept here and there, for their parents, maybe for their projects. You find that they never rest and enjoy their life. They don't have the me moments. And that's why it's very easy to find women having a chama for 20 years, 10 years. But for men, if you see 10 men together for more than 5 years, you really need to congratulate them. So we really need to ask ourselves the hard questions. Where do men have what we call the mindfulness exercise? Where do the men relate their thoughts to the real life situations? Where do the men meditate about their lives? Because these men are always looking for this or that. So those are some of the differences. And now, I know quite a number of issues will come at the point of the questions and all that. We need to ask ourselves then, what do men need? What can we do as men to change this narrative, to adjust this balance, to put it at the equilibrium? Number one and the most important, we men, we must have a purpose. We must attach meaning to our lives. We must have a big why we are living. We must understand what is behind our life. And when we get that, it will be the source of our motivation. Because what is committing suicide? What is deciding to lose your life? It is zero motivation. You lack what we call self-esteem. And that self-esteem, in a better language, it is self-motivation. So when that self-motivation is at zero level, it means you have no attachment to your life. You don't feel worthy to be alive. You don't also feel competent to be alive. And for that reason, you decide, because of this or that, because of this debt, because of my wife, because I've lost a job, because I cannot provide, because I'm not performing well in bed, because of this and that, I'll take away my life. And that happens because there is no bigger reason why you are existing as a man. So we need to have meaning. We need to attach meaning to what we are doing as men. Number two, we need to be responsible. Take responsibility. Let's not wait for other people to come and save us. You are your greatest savior. Those who are Christians, you would say Jesus is your savior, which is true. You have a religion, but now let us put the religion aside. on your own personal life, without bringing the spiritual life, you are your greatest savior. Then God comes. God will save you in the moment He wants to save you. But for you, you need to build yourself to a point you can save yourself. Responsibility. Number 3 is that we need assertiveness. Men who stand up for something. Men who stand up for their values. What is your value system? The value system here, I mean, what are the values that drive you? When we talk about the core values in companies, we talk about professionalism, integrity, honesty, all that. What are your personal values as a man? If someone was to ask you, what are the 5 values you cannot compromise? What would you tell us? For me, one of them is punctuality. Number 2, I would say excellence. I always try to give my best. Number 3 is responsibility, commitment. Those are some of the values I try not to compromise. What are the values that you stand up for? And then the other type of value system is, what is this that would define your success, so that you don't chase the weed. And as a human being, you will never get enough, but you need to understand, where is my ceiling, such that when you touch that ceiling, you can say, wow, I think I'm a success story. Some people are very successful, but they feel, they live, and they think they are failures. And they are doing well. Everyone is admiring them, but they don't feel it. We must feel our success. For us to keep motivated, we must feel our success. Even myself as Samuel Kanja, I have not achieved everything in life, but there are many people behind me looking at saying, wow, one day I would want to be like that gentleman. One day I would want to achieve like that person. But for me, I need a balance between wanting to get more and celebrating what I already have. Otherwise, if you are waiting to be a success story, which is being commended out there by everyone, seeking public approval for you to feel good about yourself, then you may never enjoy that. We need to celebrate the way, not the destination. We need to go picking the fruits along our paths of life. We don't have to wait to go to the tree at the end and we go and we get all the fruits. Let's enjoy the journey. It is as important as the destination. The other one is compartmentalization of our life. As men, we need to have a future focus, but not at the expense of living a day at a time. That's what I'm calling compartmentalization of our life. Making every day a compartment. The same way we deal with the addiction. Addiction, you don't tell an addict, don't take this for this week. Don't take this for this month. No, it is a day at a time. Today it is morning. Can you decide not to take this for this day? They achieve that, they go and tick somewhere. We need to live a day at a time. Living a day at a time means what? We don't look so much into the future, we forget the present. Allow me to give an example. You want to retire to enjoy your life. You want to educate your children for you to start enjoying your life. Then you educate this child. When they're in the third year in the university, you have spent so much money, they drop out of school and they get into drugs. When then will you live your life? That's why most of the parents, and on this side allow me to add another category, that's why even most of the single mothers, some of them get frustrated when their sons, daughters don't make it. Why? They gave it their all and they forgot themselves. Then, because there are factors beyond their control, outside there in the real world, these children fail to make it. And now they get frustrated. Same case happens to most men. Because your wife may be enjoying every bit, but for you, you are waiting that miraculous day when you'll be too old, too weak to enjoy life. Then you start having a regret mood. So we need to compartmentalize our life. A day at a time can keep a man. The other one is connection. We need to have a friend. Before you go even to a professional counselor like myself, before even you go to seek therapy, I would really challenge you as a man. Can you have a man who can unlock your thoughts? Can you have a man, a sober man, A genuine man, an honest man, a man who is very straightforward with you, who is not there to pamper your ego, a man who can sit you down and tell you this is wrong, this is right, don't try this, try that. But most men don't even open to men. They open to other women. They open to women strangers who then see the gap and they come and take advantage of it. We really need to open to each other as men. Because when you're opening to a man, even if you are coming to tell me whatever you did, I may not judge you, you know, because I'll give you time to substantiate what you are saying. The difference between a friend and a counselor is that a counselor is very professional. So a counselor will not advise you. A counselor will not challenge you beyond a certain extent. So a counselor is a bit reserved. Because a counselor is not planting their value system. But a friend knows your value system. A friend can even plant their value system on you. So that's why I would really challenge. Have one or two friends who you can trust with almost everything, if not everything. The other thing that we may need as men is two things. What we call mental resilience and emotional resilience. Most men have what we call physical resilience. They are working in Mjengo, they are working 12 hours in a day, waking up very early. Over the weekend, they are balancing between their personal projects, work projects. Physically, most men are resilient. But we have some boys who are behaving opposite nowadays, who are physically weak. You know, they are lazy, and you cannot trust them with a task. But generally, most men are physically resilient. But two areas as men we need to really challenge ourselves is mental resilience and emotional resilience. If you improve on that, the way you handle your challenges, you are going to expand your elasticity. You know the rubber band. I wish I had one here. A rubber band, the way it behaves, the more mentally strong you are, the more emotionally strong you are, then it is like that elastic band which you can expand and you increase its strength. And you take long time before get to a breaking point. But most men, they are brought down by very, very simple things. Very simple things. Simple may be in my definition. To them at that time, they are not simple. But they have become so big, they have been magnified by lack of mental and emotional resilience. The last one, among many other things I would suggest, is that can we seek professional help? And when you are seeking professional help, it is not a weakness. And I would challenge you, you can pick either mentorship, you can pick counseling, or you can pick coaching. The three of them, they serve different purposes. If it is coaching, you are going to someone to share with you knowledge. It may be on financial, it may be relationship, and all that. If it is counseling, it's where you have some issues you are dealing with. Someone supports you. Someone facilitates you to solve your own problems. That is counseling. When it is mentorship, it is someone who have gone through what you are going through or what you can go through, and now they are preparing you for that journey. Someone who is married can mentor a married man. Someone who has gone through this and that can mentor you. You know? So that is, you can pick any of the three. But remember, seeking professional help should never, to you, be like a sign of weakness. Make it a lifestyle. That's why I like counseling profession, because it is demanded that you also go for counseling. You have some counseling sessions. You even go for supervision. Even when you don't have issues, you find yourself in that room, you get something to talk about. Because stress is for everyone. You know, it is the way we deal with it that makes all the difference. So as I conclude, so that we can handle anything else in the questions and answers, I would say this. Men, today's world, just like in the past, it may not be very, very conscious about the weaknesses of a man. Because a man, even by nature, is seen to be strong. Seemingly strong. But in reality, we have our weak points. That's why we say some people are very strong. They break you down very easily because they have been too strong too long. You can imagine a young man who have just got a job. The mother is waiting for the boy to send money. The girlfriend is waiting for some money. The sisters who are in school are waiting for some money. This man has been invited in Arambe, has to send some money. This young man, maybe he drinks, he has to buy for his friends, all that. But everyone thinks this young man has so much money. And if you come from some communities, you must have a piece of land. If you have come from some communities, you need to buy a car. If you come from some other places, you need to get married before you are this age and that age. That's why I would really challenge you. Be authentic with your living. Make your personal choices and don't be under any duress. Don't be under any pressure, especially the social pressure, especially the issue of social media. That pressure, say no to it. Make choices that you can live with. Make choices that you are ready to suffer the consequences with pride. Everything is lost, is not lost, my dear men. It is not over until it's over. You as a person, see what you can do differently. It is better to light a candle than to cast darkness. Don't cast the darkness in your life. Take care of your mental health, and you are personally, individually responsible for your mental health. How I wish we had more time, but allow me to stop there for any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Samuel. It is very enlightening. And as you've said, I wish we had more time, but the tip is also not bad. So my takeaway in this is that seeking help isn't a sign of weakness. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
We can hear you.
Yeah, seeking help is not a sign of weakness. And it's true, men need to look for mentors, coaches, and even they need to go for counseling. So I have a question here from a listener. And the question is, how can women help their men restore their mental wellness? How can women help their men restore their mental wellness? Maybe this is somebody going through such and she doesn't know how to deal with it. So maybe you can give us one tip of, I'm also a woman. How can I help my man to restore his mental wellness?
Yeah, so I think that's a good question whoever asked. It's a very intelligent one. You see now it is changing the direction because mental health, as much as we say it is personal, there's what we call the support system. And most of the men who commit suicide, they never commit suicide because of themselves. It is because of lack of a support system. Because men don't also support one another. Men are not conscious. Like if I call my friend, it will not go for more than a minute unless we are bargaining or selling something, But for women, they will call each other for an hour, talking about nothing. You ask them, what were you talking about? They cannot tell you, They are even joking about the same bad husbands, but they cannot remember. So even when they are sleeping, they have already been taken care of. So the support system has to be improved, and maybe what I would challenge any woman who has a man, even if he has not got to that point where he is struggling with mental health, make it a lifestyle to make your man upbeat. Upbeat means what? Be there to encourage them. Even if you reprimand him here and there, add with a note of encouragement. You hear those people, I don't know where they belong and where they are, they say that men are just like children. Sometimes treat your man as a child, in the philosophical aspect. That's what men want. Maybe, Rose, I may ask you this question. I don't know if you read the Bible. How many years did a man live with animals? How I wish the Bible had answered that question. Because sometimes we think it is 3 days, but you may be so surprised it was a number of years for God to witness that this man is not happy. It may be 20 years, 100 years. That man was living without a woman. So, what am I trying to say? I'm saying it's good to always be there to encourage this man to remove the boredom which animals bring or which animals used to bring. You know, if we refer to the word of God for that. But encourage the man, don't take the ego of the man down. A good example is this: if you are a woman and you are earning more than a man, imagine that's an issue which you need to be conscious about. But if a man is earning more than you, it cannot cause the woman any any mental health issues. If a woman loses a job, it's not a big deal. She will not lose the husband because of that, unless the husband is a weak man. But when a man loses a job, it's a big deal. We need to deal with such issues. What do I mean? When you are handling issues in the family, let's not handle them in a way like we are creating very strict boundaries that we cannot open up to one another. Create a forum where your man can tell you what he would be going to tell other men. But sometimes when men speak the truth, women are not happy. So what happens to the men? They block the conversation. What is wrong? Nothing. Are you okay? Very okay. But the man is suffering. Because of what? If they speak the truth, they are going to be shaken with so many accusations. You saw this this photo was trending on social media. A man carrying a bag of potato, 100 kilos and above, and then the call is coming, and he cannot pick the call. Then in the evening he is asked, "Why did you not pick my call? Were you with other women?" Now you can imagine, encourage a moment of a conversation, because marriages and the relationships, they are kept by that fire called communication. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And it's a learning moment, and I thank you for this moment. So we have some comments on our chat box, and one Damn Creative has said, "God bless you. I am learning a lot today." And then he has wished you to continue to keep on thriving. And I know maybe he will reach out to you so that you can also continue mentoring and also educating the mass. So, do we have any other question?
I believe that's all. And yeah, that's all for the comments and questions. I don't see anything else coming in. Maybe
Mm.
Mr. Samuel, you could share your contacts or how people can reach you if they want to get some more mentoring or just to get in touch with you. Maybe you could share how they can reach you.
Okay, thank you so much. And on my social media handles, everywhere I use Samuel Kanja with my photo, so it is easy to get me. The website of the company which I operate with, the platform is Ultimate Excellence Limited. So the website is .co.ke, ultimateexcellence.co.ke. You can get more information there. And also you can reach me on my contact 0729 368 307. 0729 368 307. And thank you so much also for organizing this. How I wish we can have more of this, and we reach out to many people. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Sure. And lastly, I would like to thank all the audience for having participated. It calls for patience, just the way Samuel said, and also just getting out and trying to hear from experts, because nobody is a professor in everything. But when we exchange knowledge, at least we get to understand what is ailing us and how we can maneuver and unleash here there. So lastly, we know that we missed out on our hike that we were to go to Ololua Forest last month because of the rains. The event is scheduled for 20th May next month, and all the other requirements remain the same. So we will share out the flyer as and when we get it, but let's keep the date as 20th of May. That's when we will be visiting the Ololua Forest, and we meet, greet, and also get to know each other. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the Kajiado We Want members, the Kajiado We Want officials, for giving me this opportunity to coordinate and to moderate the session. It has not been easy since yesterday. I was like thinking like, how am I going to do it? But with God's grace, I've managed, and I thank our IT guy and Samuel, because if you were not available, I couldn't be here speaking to the audience. So plus all the people that have managed to log in and to listen. Let's keep on listening. Let's keep on joining all this. The way Samuel said, it's true. Women are we are social, and we cry out. And when we think about doing something negative to ourselves, we imagine, where am I going to leave my daughter? Where am I going to leave my son? So it keeps us going. So let's also encourage the men, our boys, and also to also have the attitude of thinking twice before taking an action. Thank you. Over to you, Jeff.
Karibu sana Rose. You did well. So there was no need for being nervous. Thank you all for those who've joined today's talk, and we look forward to seeing you next week on to next week's talk. Until next week, kwaheri sana.
Asante sana. Bye.
Bye-bye.